Today's tough question sounds kind of funny, but if you think it through, it's not the worst idea. South Carolina fans don't want to hear that. But Spencer Rattler, I believe, is an NFL talent behind a middle school offensive line. So should Spencer Rattler just hang it up? Should he just say, I'm forgoing not only the bowl game, but the rest of the regular season so that he doesn't get hurt before his NFL future begins? Somewhat in jest, but John, what do you think?
Well, I mean, like you said, we've seen that with players opting out of a bowl game. South Carolina's not going to bowl games, so he doesn't have to worry about opting out of that. But I think it would be a really good move on his part, and I think any prospective agent would advise him accordingly. Just start working out with a personal trainer, maybe get a passing coach in there, and get ready for the NFL, where maybe somebody can block for him, because that's not happening now. I'm surprised he's lasted this long after watching North Carolina sack him 9 times. And when has North Carolina been known for a ferocious pass rush? So he survived that game, survived the Georgia game, but you just can't keep doing that. He's very talented, great accuracy, unbelievable accuracy, completing 30 of 39 passes against UNC while being sacked 9 times. Good gosh, it seems like his arm would be worn out from trying to brace his fall.
So you're not even joking. If you were his agent, you would say, this would be the way to go.
Get out of there. I mean, do what South Carolina's other best players did. Leave. Marshawn Lloyd went to Southern Cal, where he's the lead running back now. Jaheim Bell went to Florida State, where he can be on a winning team, maybe a national championship team. Yeah, it's pretty clear what Spencer Rattler should do.
All right, let me get Caleb's take. But first on the message board, we're not far off from that kind of atmosphere in college, Dave. Kids will collect their NIL money now that they're professionals while sitting out the season. As John and I talked about this last night, Caleb, it was somewhat, I think it started jokingly, and then he lays out the argument right there, and I think it makes kind of a lot of sense.
I understand the sentiment, and there are players I would say this for a lot. I actually would have said it more. I'm surprised it didn't happen more pre-NIL. I think NIL, at least you can give players incentives to play more. I'm surprised it didn't happen more back in the day when they weren't getting played. I'll say this, though, with respect to Spencer Rattler specifically. Unless he signs with CAA, which clearly has Mel Kiper on its payroll, because that's the only way that Mel Kiper could have been talking up Will Levis as a top 5 draft pick last year, because anybody with eyes knew he wasn't a top 30 draft pick, and only my Titans are stupid enough to think he was a first 2-round draft pick. Sorry, different side rant right there.
Because I love hearing about the Titans.
I will say that unless he signs with that agency, so Mel Kiper can get paid to promote him, to force him into a first-round draft pick, I think he's got to play. And the reason I think he's got to play, John, you know it, I know it, Dave knows it, because we've all seen it from Spencer Rattler at the SEC, pretty significantly at the SEC level now. But I think the national media and national perception of Spencer Rattler is not what ours is. We know how good he is. We know what he's working with. But I think Spencer Rattler's done more for his draft stock just playing the last month than he ever had before, because we see how good he is with no help surrounding him. So I think Spencer has to kind of play his way into the type of draft pick he wants to be on the field right now. Now, if October comes, maybe he's gotten a little more notoriety for how he plays, then yeah, go ahead and sit the season out. I just don't think he's at that level on a national scale yet.
Well, the only thing he hasn't perfected this season is ability to throw while falling down. I haven't seen him do that, and he needs to work on it. Yeah, I can see your point on that. I just think the odds are against him. And what happens, even if he avoids serious injury and keeps playing, you know how it goes. When a quarterback hits that much, he loses flexibility, he develops bad passing habits, and the next thing you know, he's not as highly sought after at the next level. I mean, I think right now he's a first-round draft pick. I don't see how anybody could say otherwise. He's first-round pick. So take your money, or your money to come, and run.
Yeah.
away from that offensive line like he's already been doing.
Colton says, would an NFL team see that as a red flag? He bails on a team that can't block. And as the retort, Tom says NFL team sees that as very smart. A kid knowing they're possibly going to get seriously hurt because of their team stinking, choosing to sit out and still get paid is a huge indicator of wisdom. It's pretty good.
I like that.
Yeah. I don't know if it's wisdom or not, but we used to say, and Christian McCaffrey was the first to bail on a bowl game, I think. And nowadays, that doesn't hurt you at all. Really, quitting on your team is not a factor.
No.
No.
Yeah, I think that's a good point about it. A sign of wisdom. He's wise beyond his years. But do you really think, if you had to predict, you had money on it, would you bet that Spencer Rattler doesn't miss a game this season?
If I had to bet money on, I'd bet he does miss a game as bad as the offensive line is.
Yeah.
But my question to you guys is, because I can tell you this right now, and I know from some people, based on people I've talked to, I'm very aware that many NFL scouts and GMs do not do the watching of film that they should be doing when they make draft decisions. I'm just going to put that out there. And so, John, I'm just suggesting that, isn't it possible scouts and GMs have not watched as much Spencer Rattler as we have because we're so tied into the SEC?
Probably should be fired then. Probably should be fired then. What is what else can they do but watch video? What Brock Purdy, where was Brock Purdy drafted? What
he
round?
was Mr. Irrelevant, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's what I thought. He was the last round guy. So I guess the NFL scouts weren't watching a lot of his video either, and he could end up winning a Super Bowl one day.
That's a fair point. All right, so you have you have what we believe is a first round pick in Rattler. Okay, now I'm not trying to rip on Joe Milton here, but how would he do for the Vols? John, let me start with you and then get Caleb your thought. If you could trade quarterbacks like the NFL, like you've got free agency in college football, how would he do for Tennessee? Keeping in mind that right now Caleb Williams is the leader on most of the odds for winning the Heisman. Michael Penix Jr. is second, Quinn Ewers, Bo Nix, Jordan Travis. Where would Spencer Rattler, if he were Tennessee's quarterback from the get in January instead of Joe Milton, where would he be on this list, or would he be on it?
Oh, I think he'd be in the top five. Go back to the Oklahoma days where he got beat out by a Heisman Trophy quarterback. Maybe Oklahoma had the two best quarterbacks in the country. We just didn't realize it at the time. But no, he would be a perfect fit for Josh Heupel's offense. Look what he does. Look what Hendon Hooker did. Really good running instincts. He's not a running quarterback, but he knows when to run and where to run. He really sees the field. He picks up secondary receivers all the time, and he's uncannily accurate. He can evade a rush. Boy, has he proved that. So when you think about project Spencer Rattler in Tennessee's offense, just look back at Hendon Hooker. That's what you would get. You'd see open receivers getting the ball almost every time right there in their hands.
Yeah. Caleb, where would he be on the Heisman list? You actually created the Heisman list. This is on offthehooksports.com. Where would he be in your mind if he were Tennessee's quarterback?
Oh, he'd be top 3. I don't know if he'd be above Cameron Ward or Michael Penix. The Heisman Trophy is in Washington right now. It's one of the 2 Washington quarterbacks that should be in the race to win it. I don't know if you watched that game Saturday, John, with Cameron Ward, but I am so high on him against Oregon State.
Yeah, I've seen him, but I didn't get to watch that game. Caleb Williams is one of college football's all-time best quarterbacks. I don't think anybody's going to beat him out unless he suddenly has to play behind South Carolina's offensive line.
So for the record, today's tough question: should Spencer Rattler just quit college football? We are yay with John. Caleb?
I'm a nay because I don't think he's done enough for his draft stock, and I think most NFL scouts are too stupid to actually know that he's a first-round pick.
You're just scorching the entire NFL.
I think a lot of executives and scouts are way less intelligent than they are paid to be. Put it that way.